was born into an area in the northern England, which was very dark at that time. A lot of pollution, smoke and smog and chimneys and mills, and my parents both smoked very heavily, and so there was pollution inside the house and outside the house. And luckily I was very healthy, but I remember saying to my parents when I was very tiny, when we were having a picnic and I touched the grass and then my hand was black, and I said, but it's not supposed to be like this. And they laughed and they said, well, how's it supposed to be? Because that was normal to them. And I said, well, not like this. And so there were a lot of things going on which were seemed impossibly difficult. And so I think, and then I was at nursery school, and I still remember walking out into the garden, and there was a big tree like this one, except it was a cherry tree, and it was in blossom. And so I was 3 years old, very tiny, and I looked up and the sky was pink with the blossom, and then the blossom was falling, and then the earth was pink. And I remember walking into this garden and saying, oh, I'm home. I thought I'd gone home to back where I came from. And I was so happy that I'd left this dark, dismal, gloomy place. And then I realised that I really hadn't. I was still there. I came in with a knowingness that I was here to be of assistance. And when I was very young, when I first started to talk, actually, I started to share what I knew. And my parents must have been very alarmed with this strange little creature. But by the time I was 3 years old, I decided I wasn't staying here on Earth because it was too difficult. And so I had my first near-death experience at 3. And the doctor told my mother, well, she may come back or she may not. I had a heat stroke. I did come back, but I was very, very, very quiet after that time. Hardly spoke at all. Just was very interior. And really have been like that ever since, in a way. But still having this strong feeling of, wanting to help, wanting to make a difference, wanting to be of assistance to others. But my great love, my great passion, my great love affair is with the earth itself. I love the earth. I love the earth. She loves me. And my great desire is to be of assistance in whatever way I can to help the earth. And of course that translates into everything on the earth, everything living on the earth. So my great passion is life on earth and the earth herself. So here I am with this tree, and a little while ago I was feeling dizzy, so I just needed to come and sit with the tree. And as soon as I sit with the tree and I communicate. I'm not conscious of the communication sometimes, but the tree, now I feel really, really grounded and strong, because the tree is connected with her great roots deep into the earth, and so she's connecting me with her great roots deep into the earth. And so now I'm okay. Otherwise I can get a little bit airy sometimes. I feel I came to this lifetime to have many, many experiences, to feel what it's truly like to be human, to have the human experience without, as much as possible, getting caught up in it, which of course is not possible when you are human in a human body. But and I have had many experiences in this lifetime, very, very uncomfortable experiences, but I feel that has truly opened me more and more to compassion for others, and that's what it's been about for me, to explore my own compassion towards others. And now I'm exploring, at this time in my life, compassion towards myself. I've never really explored that in the way that I am now, and it's lovely. I'm really feeling this is so wonderful. I've always had the other, because it's always about balance, and I guess I haven't always been balanced in that way, but now I want to become more balanced so that I can move on to the next stage, which I'm sure will be about helping others in some way, and I'm not sure or clear what that is yet. I feel I'm always in constant dialogue with the divine. I mean, you know, when I lose things, I say, please show me where so-and-so is, you know, immediately, please, thank you. And then usually I'm shown. And so people say, oh, who are you talking to? And I said, I don't know, really. I'm just talking to the divine as I, you know, or to my angels. I don't really know. It's just, I feel one with them. And I feel communication with them is so much easier for me than with actually communication with humans. That is always difficult. You know, there's all these nuances and little games but with this clear communication, it's always clear and true, and it just feels so real to me. It is real to me. I used to think that I was supposed to help everybody that came into my field. I used to think that was my divine purpose, until I collapsed many times and nearly died a few times, and then I thought there's something wrong here, and so now I just, you know, like to be with people and to be with their heart and to just be in a loving relationship with them, and you know, I don't have to save anybody because I can't save anybody, and I was never intended. It's never intended to save anybody. But I think people sometimes feel that I can save them sometimes, and really, it's nothing to do with me. When I was a tour guide in Sedona, Arizona, with people from all over the world, we'd have lots of interesting experience on the land with sacred ceremonies and meditations, and then I've seen instant healings where people will suddenly heal very quickly, and then they will say, thank you so much, and I say, no, it's nothing to do with me, really. I'm just your you know, you were raised to heal. You came here, and I'm just helping you. I just happen to be here. I just happen to be the person that you chose to help you. This is your healing. This is your decision. I'm just your facilitator, that's all. And I really feel that. I'm not here to fix anybody, to heal anybody. I'm just here to facilitate people in their own healing. So that's what I feel is right for me. No, I've had many near-death experiences, and I have to say most of the time I remember coming back into my body. I don't remember what happened when I left, and I think that's for a reason. I think that's for a reason because I think if I did remember truly, that would make my life here more difficult. Because I feel I'm just walking very lightly on the earth, and it wouldn't take much for me to leave again. And so it's important for me to be with trees and to be with the earth and water and rocks and flowers, to stay totally here. That's how I stay here. Otherwise, you know, I do remember walking back down through the tunnel many times into my body. And I have to say that once you leave the earth, when you die, so to speak, you don't want to come back. And when you do decide to come back, it's more difficult to come back into your body after you've left than it is to leave it in death. And so I feel very close to nature, very, very close to nature. In fact, the nature realms are so much more real to me than the human realms. I have such problems with the human realm. You know, I don't understand how people, and this is not judgmental, I hope it doesn't sound judgmental, it's just, I don't understand how people live in this way, such as one of my near-death experiences about 14 years ago, where I was in a very bad car accident and I was gone for a long time, you know, and I was in intensive care for a long time and had to learn to walk again and things. And when I did come back, and after the pain sort of subsided after a while, and I was being driven around to go to therapy and different things, and I would look around at the earth and see people aging and dying and suffering and all kinds of things, and I went, wow, this feels really uncomfortable, I don't want to stay here, please take me out. And for a while after that near-death experience, it was very difficult to be here because of the density and the darkness and the way people were living on the earth and the suffering. And so my prayer was for several weeks, get me out of here. But I didn't, obviously. And what I did, I went to some healing waters. My friends have a spa in California, and I just laid in the water for a month, had this month-long dialogue with the divine, and then, I settled down for a while. When I was in the water and the waters of the spa, I said to the divine, I don't know why this accident happened, and I don't know why I've come back. There must be a reason. So this is what I would like. I'd like to live in a place with like-hearted people where I can truly be myself. And also, if all I do on the earth is hold love in every cell as much as possible and walk upon the earth, that's all I need to do. And then, I healed very quickly, actually. I was told I wouldn't. The doctor told me after the accident, well, we've put you back together as best we could, but you were very badly injured, and I'm actually screwed together with metal. You can't tell. But you're very, very badly injured, and you're going to have a lot of problems in your life now. Like, you'll be able to walk, but dancing, running, anything like that, no, definitely not. Arthritis, very soon, you're going to be challenged in your life from now on. And I was still very, very weak because I had died during that episode several times. I had to be resuscitated several times. So I was still very weak, but I remember looking into the doctor's eyes and saying, no way, I'm not buying into any of that. And he sort of went, oh, okay, well, of course, it's your decision. And I said, yes. And so I didn't buy into it, and I did have to learn to walk again and all kinds of things, and it was very painful, but I pushed myself as I usually do. And 4 months later, I was in Sedona, climbing to the top of Cathedral Rock. And I said, when I got there, I have no limitations except those I put upon myself. So anyway, that was another episode. So then I ended up in Sedona, working in a different way. I hadn't really worked before. And that's when I really started to do a lot of readings. I didn't want to. I was asked. Someone said to me, you have the ability to do to read and bring forth information for people. And I said, well, yes, but why don't you do it for other people? I don't want to. And so I worked for a company giving vortex tours and different things. And this lovely lady, Suzanne, asked me several times, won't you read for other people? And I said, no. And then one day I said, okay, I'll give it a go. I just didn't want to take that responsibility and expose myself also to be so vulnerable. And so anyway, I did. And I realised it helped people a lot. So ever since that time, I've really opened up to doing that more for people. And now I'm seeing people here in San Miguel, and it's beautiful. And some people who are in their 80s are just beginning their true life's mission. And it's wonderful. And they come in and they say, well, I'm not sure why I'm here, and I see, and this is, we bring forth, and when they leave, they say, wow, I had no idea this is in front of me. And so they just, have a new lease on life and a new joy that they're here to serve, that they have never experienced before. Well, the person sits opposite me, and we always ground. I always ground us both, into the earth, so that we're really connected and strong. And then we open with a prayer, and I call in all my clients, guides, angels, teachers, masters, and ask them to bring through the information that my client's soul is asking to be revealed at this time. And then I call in my own guides, angels, teachers, and masters, and ask that they bring the information through me clearly in grace and love. And I ask that only truth is spoken here, and all is centered in the energy of love. And then I hold the person's hands and I look into their body, and I see strange things. I never know what it means. I see all kinds. I feel things. Sometimes I hear things. Sometimes I feel things. Very often I see. For example, I won't name any names, and this is a long time ago. I held someone's hands, and it looked like they had shattered glass all through their body. And I thought, what does that mean? I have no idea. And sometimes I'll say to my guides, show me something else, but usually they don't. So anyway, I said to my client, well, I'm seeing what looks like shattered glass in your body. And just straight away she said, oh, because I'm feeling shattered. I'm shattered. My life is shattered. And I went, oh, okay. And so that's where we start there. And so I'm shown things like that. And then one lady I saw, she had leaves all through her body. And I thought, I don't know what that means. And so I said, I'm seeing, you're very connected to trees. She said, leaves, I'm really connected to leaves. Oh, okay. And then sometimes I'll see what looks like shaking in someone's body, like they're shaking on the inside. And that's something that they've been shaking since they were maybe 3 years old, and something happened to them at that time, and they've been shaking ever since. But outwardly they don't shake, although they say sometimes they do. Normally they don't know they're shaking on the inside, but they've been shaking since they were 3 years old, and that's ruled their lives. And so then we look into what that means, and then we take steps. We look at what steps my client can take to move through the blockages, because what we want is to find out what is holding my client back from moving into their next level of who they really are. I call it how can they walk through the sacred gateway. And I also tell my client, you wouldn't be sitting in front of me if you weren't ready to step through the sacred gateway, because people just don't appear in front of me unless they're ready to go through a transformation. So I always know that about them, that they're ready to go through the transformation. And so then we look at what is holding them back, and then what steps to take, what they can take to move through the blockage, what is holding them back. And usually, we get really profound answers, very practical answers, usually very practical answers. I don't think this isn't magic to me. It's just look at what's blocking, and then we look at what steps to take to move through the blockage. It seems very simple and, logical to me to do that. And then my clients sometimes tell me, well, when we had that reading, well, since that time, I've been getting more and more information. It keeps coming in. And I say, well, yes, because you've actually acknowledged that you're stepping through the gateway, and you've opened yourself up to receive more information, because you're at a different level now. So a reading is also sort of like an initiation too. As far as I understand, because myself, truly, I don't know how this happens, it just does. I can't explain it really. Well, I believe in gentleness, and actually, most of my life has been lived, I hope, in some way. A beautiful hawk just flew over. It's a great sign. See, he flew over when I said I believe in gentleness, and my whole life has been lived, and he just flew over at that point. So he's confirming, because all hawks are messengers between heaven and earth. So he was like saying, yes, that's right. So I believe in gentleness anyway. And none of my readings have ever, people sometimes cry, but usually it's crying with their heart is opening, or crying with relief, or something that's touched their heart. And I have to say that I've never read with anyone that's left and been very perturbed or anxious or fearful about anything, as far as I know anyway, about anything. Because sometimes what comes through is a blockage is something which happened in childhood, very often actually, something that they didn't know about or something they did know about and it hasn't ever been really released. So we don't need to look into what did happen. So sometimes I'll say, oh, there's something that happened when you were 3. And sometimes I say, oh yes, it was so-and-so that happened when I was 3. And sometimes they say, well, I said, do you need to know? And they said, no. And I said, okay, we don't need to know. There's something that happened when you were 3, and at that point, this is so-and-so, so-and-so. This is what you made a decision at that point to, close your heart, or you've made a decision never to trust again, and this has been through your whole life, or so sometimes they want to know, and I say, well, I don't go into details about that. We could just say something happened, but so we don't go into long drawn out details about any trauma that's happened, unless even if they want to, I don't go there, because we're not looking at what did happen, we're looking at what the blockage was, what the effect of the blockage was, actually, what the effect, and then we actually look at ways of clearing that, what decision they made at that time, which has ruled their lives, how can they move through that and open to a new way of life. So I'm seeing people, particularly in San Miguel, older people that are willing and ready to unblock and have a new lease of life, and it's really wonderful. Because usually the people that have come to me have some service which has not come forth yet. They're ready to step through the sacred gateway and be of service to the earth, and to everything on the earth. And so this block is preventing them from moving into that place. So then I have some, because I find people like visuals, so I have some cards called unconditional love cards. Well, I can't even remember the I'm so used to them, I don't think of them as, I think of them as beings, they're not cards to me, they're actual beings. So anyway, these cards are connected to my heart, to my work. So then we ask the cards, I do a spread, usually about 7 cards, and then I find that relaxes people. They like the visual. It's something they can photograph and take with them and make notes about, and it gives them something solid to take with them. And so then we do a layout of cards, and the cards are always amazing. And the cards are really wonderful because they bring through messages that I feel they might have, my client may feel uncomfortable me speaking of it, but I can say, oh, this card is saying so and so, and this is what this card is saying, and so I can be more direct because it's coming through the cards, and it's not coming directly from, they might consider from me, it's actually from there, in front of them, in front of their own eyes, the cards speaking to them. So then we'll look at that, and then by the end of the reading we usually have a good idea of what their and very often they'll say, oh, well, I really always wanted to do this, or I always wanted to be able to do that, or help so and so. But I never thought I could. And I said, well, you're just about to start, She said, really? And I said, well, what does it say here? And I'll say, wow, that's amazing. And they'll say, well, I've had this idea for a long time, but I just put it aside because I don't see how I could do that. Very often people will relate to the card. Sometimes they'll start crying when they see a card too. Wow. Very often they start crying. In fact, they say, wow, that card really touches my heart. Wow. That happens so often when I'm giving reading. Because I think people are confused with the words life's purpose. I think that we've been brainwashed into thinking we have to achieve, we have to be achievers. Whereas in other cultures, who live close to the earth, their purpose is very fine, it's very clearly defined. They get up and they greet the sun, and then they acknowledge all life, and then they make food, and they their life's purpose is very, and then, you know, everybody has their role to play in the tribe, and it's just defined. Their life is clearly defined. There are so many ways of expressing a life's purpose, and I believe if it's all centered in the energy of love, then everything is a life's purpose, you know. I really do believe that being here on earth is our life's purpose, and having our own experiences is a life's purpose. But if you want to take it further than that, outside ourselves, there's so many small ways, like Mother Teresa said, that small acts every day, you know, accumulate into something big. And so that's what I really feel.